moving on, in the world of edtech, it's been a major week because Kahoot, the Norwegian edtech that you know from your favorite games, the small quizzes you're using in the classrooms, at bar mitzvahs, at birthday parties, they actually raised $215 million from SoftBank.
That's some real money.
That is some real money. And the question is, what are they going to spend that money on, and what does it say about the market? I think, first of all, when I went into EdTech 5 years ago, it was the most unsexy business in the universe. No sex in ed, let me tell you. It was like my friends would say, you're going into tech, amazing. Why are you picking the least investable space? It's just like nobody wanted to throw money towards EdTech. They do now.
Yeah, look where we're now.
Yeah.
Booming.
I mean, come on. This is a pandemic. Everybody's at home. Everybody's learning from home. Everybody's forced to change or sort of behavior right away. It's super exciting. Kahoot's interesting to me, both because, what are they going to do with the money? They're interesting because they're from the Nordics. So we don't see that many big investments in the Nordics. And even though people say there's something super interesting about learning in the Nordics, not a lot of money has followed through. So no doubt about that 2020 has become like an investor darling for EdTech. Mm-hmm. We've already surpassed, in terms of investments, we already surpassed the total amount of investments we saw in 19 and 18. But to me, Kahoot's interesting because it started almost like a gimmick, I would say. It's a game, it's a quiz. It was in the classrooms. I mean, the user design, have you ever seen something more terribly ugly than the design? But it works. The gamification is just right. Actually, Kahoot, they don't make their money on those teachers that are using it, or you and me when we're at a party. They make their money from businesses that buy it and use it in a more professional context. And actually, if we look at the article, so earlier in the year, they had raised 28 million, which was, quite small compared to this. But they actually, in the last 12 months, 1.3 billion people have played a Kahoot.
Wow.
It's not even called it's a Kahoot. It's like the wildest dream of any person creating something that it's doing something, the verb becomes the name of the company.
It's like the Flappy Birds of EdTech.
Exactly. It's like, I'm what are you doing? I'm Kahooting. That's how powerful that they've become. But also, what I think is pretty cool is that they're starting to buy other tech companies. So I think, they've seen, we have this platform, we can do cool stuff with it. But they bought a Danish edtech called Actimo last month. And I think we'll see them buy lots more edtech companies. So to have this umbrella under them where they can influence different segments. So, for example, I think Kahoot is mostly used in classrooms and a lot of informal, gaming and learning situations. And then they're trying to make this big break with corporates. Actimo, on the other hand, is used more with blue collar. So we'll see them make a lot of moves under them to buy other companies. And then we'll see them do stuff that they should have done a long time ago. For example, this week they announced Zoom integration, which is brilliant, right? Because then you're Zooming and you can just pull up completely seamlessly and have your Kahoot inside of it. And I think for Kahoot that makes sense, but to me it's odd that Zoom does it. And the reason I think it's odd is that I don't understand why Zoom hasn't yet made Zoom Learning. Where are you guys? Get in the game. You already have all the users. Why are you not, with the amount of developers you will have, it'll take you 2-3 months to build a solid learning management system on top of it. That's what we'll see happening. I also think if this trend continues, I'd love to see an Amazon Learning. Maybe it's time to pay back some of the people you're putting out of business. With the amount of data you have about what people read and buy on your platform, imagine how you could tailor courses to them. So I think, we're looking into a future where it'll be Zoom Learning, Zoom University, Amazon Learning, Amazon University, Facebook again. Come on. You've been adjacent to this space for such a long time. Make that move already. Stop just doing random investments with your fund. Moving on, some people are actually making moves. One of the people making a big move this week is Chelsea Clinton. She has, after much speculation, finally revealed that she has created her own venture fund, maybe called Metrodora Ventures. Nobody knows yet. Hell of a name. I wonder why it's called that. It's not a great name. But she's actually made her first investment with the company as well. What do you think she decided to spend her money on, Georgie, in this COVID-19 world?
Probably masks. There is not much things to spend your money on right now.
Good guess. I actually remember I was in Vietnam when the whole thing with COVID sort of started happening. And we heard all these stories about a Danish company that produced masks and how they were like making a killing and like struggling to keep up with demand. They had never thought like, you run a business that's pretty stable and predictable for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden it just goes boom. And I think that moment, I didn't realize that us working in EdTech would experience that exact same boom like a couple of weeks later. Like, I didn't even realize it. It was like staring me in the face, right? But she made that move, an EdTech move. She's made her first investment in Fiveable, which is an EdTech company that specializes in online classes that prepare you for what's called AP tests or advanced placement tests. Do you know what that is, Georgie?
No, really.
So like an AP test is like when you're going from high school to university, then sometimes if you're like a super cool student or like a lot already, you can take these tests so you can like test out of stuff. So it's kind of like proving. It's kind of like what we say with adaptive learning and why that's becoming cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, I already know this stuff. I was like a total history buff. So there's no reason for me to take like intro to American history again. So it's basically like that, So that's what the platform's all about. And it sounds a little bit like an American niche topic, but I bet there's a pretty strong market for it. And I look forward to sort of seeing like where she's going to place herself in the spectrum of like everybody, is trying to invest in EdTech. So what's interesting, but also like she never met the person. So she only met the founder through Zoom. And I think that's like, for the founders out there watching, like I'm a founder of a company. Sometimes we think that like investments or the tech world, it like works in a specific way, but it's not true. Did you think you could get like a sizable amount of money from a person you never met?
Not really. I mean, but also times are very different. So you wouldn't usually just make friends over the internet like that and lending shitload of money to them.
Yeah. There's a reason why everyone's calling it the new normal. Like whatever you thought like wasn't possible before, everything's possible now. So you can raise money from a VC. You can raise money from Chelsea Clinton. Hit up her fan page. Hit up her website. She's cutting checks. And for a while, people weren't cutting checks, but they are starting to pay them out again now. So this is really the time. If you're in EdTech, call up Chelsea Clinton.